Rain hammered the windows of St. Vincent's Hospital, the kind of relentless storm that made everything outside blur into shadows. Inside, Clara Hayes clung to the armrest of the wheelchair as another contraction tore through her. Her cry echoed down the sterile hallway, but she refused to let it become a scream. "You're doing so well, Ms. Hayes," the nurse assured her as they hurried her into the maternity ward. Clara gave a tight nod, her face damp with sweat. She had been preparing for this moment for 9 long, lonely months. She had packed her hospital bag, set up the crib in her small apartment, lined up extra shifts so she could afford diapers and formula. She had even practiced breathing exercises with the old teddy bears she kept on her couch. What she hadn't prepared for was how terrifying it would feel to go through this alone. There would be no hand to squeeze, no anxious father pacing the waiting room. Just Clara and the child she had promised to love with every fiber of her being. She bit down on her lip, focusing on the baby. The baby was all that mattered now. But as another wave of pain hit, memories threatened to surface. Memories of the man she had once believed she'd spend forever with, Noah Grant. Billionaire entrepreneur. Brilliant, magnetic, impossible to resist. 3 years ago, he had swept her into his dazzling world of yachts and gala dinners, only to leave her broken when she discovered his carefully hidden engagement to another woman. The betrayal had cut so deep that Clara hadn't just left Noah, she'd left the entire life he represented. She wanted nothing to do with wealth, deceit, or men who thought they could buy forgiveness with diamonds. She'd built a new life from scratch, and she'd sworn she would never need him again. The nurse helped her onto the bed, adjusting the monitors around her. "Your doctor will be here shortly, Ms. Hayes." Clara squeezed her eyes shut, riding out another contraction. The pain was sharp, unrelenting, but it was a pain with purpose. She clung to that thought. The door opened. Footsteps. She turned her head, expecting a stranger in a white coat. Her heart stopped. It wasn't a stranger. It was Noah. He looked different, yet the same. His dark hair was still perfectly groomed, his gray eyes sharp enough to pin her in place. But he wore the white coat of a physician, a stethoscope around his neck, his ID badge clipped neatly to his chest. Drive. Noah Grant. Clara's throat closed. Noah. He froze too, as if the world had tilted under his feet. Clara. His voice was hoarse, disbelieving. Her pulse raced, panic surging. This had to be some cruel twist of fate. Not here, not now, not when she was at her most vulnerable. "You're the doctor," she whispered, her voice breaking. He cleared his throat, trying to compose himself. "I'm covering for a colleague tonight. I didn't know it was you." His gaze flickered to her rounded belly, and something unreadable flashed in his eyes. Another contraction ripped through her, stealing her breath. Noah's instincts took over. He stepped forward, his voice calm, steady, professional. "Clara, you're in active labor. You're going to be okay. I'll take care of you." "No," she gasped, shaking her head. "Not you. Anyone but you." But the nurse's hand pressed gently to her shoulder. "Doctor, Grant is one of the best. Right now, our focus has to be the baby. The baby. Always the baby." Clara shut her eyes, tears stinging. She had no choice but to let the man who had once shattered her heart deliver her child into the world. Hours blurred into pain and commands. "Push, Clara. Breathe. You can do this." His voice guided her through the storm, and she hated how much she clung to it. Every contraction, every desperate breath, he was there, steady, unshakable. Between pushes, she managed a ragged whisper. "You shouldn't be here." His gaze met hers, intense. "I should have never let you go." The words struck her like lightning, but she had no time to respond. The final push came, and then, suddenly, the sharp, miraculous cry of new life filled the room. Clara collapsed back against the pillows, sobs shaking her chest as the nurse placed a tiny, perfect baby girl against her skin. "Hello, my love," she whispered through tears. The world melted away as she held her daughter for the first time. "She's beautiful," Noah said, his voice rough. Clara pressed a trembling kiss to her baby's forehead. "She's mine." But Noah didn't back away. He crouched beside her bed, his expression raw, unguarded. "Ours," he said softly. Clara's heart stopped. Her eyes flew to his. "What?" His jaw clenched. "I knew about you, Clara. I knew you were pregnant. I didn't come after you because I thought I didn't deserve either of you after what I did. But seeing you here, seeing her, I can't stay away anymore." Her throat tightened. "You're a billionaire, Noah. You don't know what real life is like. You can't just come in and out of her world whenever you want." She needs stability. She needs someone who won't leave. Instead of arguing, Noah reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded paper. His hand shook as he unfolded it and placed it on the bedside tray. Clara blinked at the letterhead. It was a resignation letter from the hospital board, signed and dated that morning. Her gaze snapped up. "What is this?" "I sold my company last month," he admitted, voice low. "I've been volunteering here ever since. I wanted to do something that mattered. Something real. Money didn't mean anything without family. Without you. Without her." His eyes shimmered with emotion. "The unbelievable part isn't that I'm your doctor tonight. It's that I finally understand what I almost lost forever." Clara's lips trembled. Her heart warred with her mind. She remembered the betrayal, the sleepless nights, the walls she'd built to keep him out. But she also remembered the man who had once held her through storms, who had whispered dreams of children and futures into her ear. She looked down at her daughter, who yawned softly against her chest, utterly innocent. Then she looked back at Noah, the man who had broken her heart, now stripped of wealth and pride, offering nothing but himself. "Don't you dare leave again," she whispered, tears blurring her vision. His hand covered hers, firm, certain. Never. In that moment, the past didn't vanish, but something new began to take root. In that sterile hospital room, pain had given way to the miracle of life, and perhaps, the miracle of second chances. For the first time in years, Clara let herself believe in the possibility of love again. Rain hammered the windows of St. Vincent's Hospital, relentless and heavy, drowning the city in gray. Inside, Clara Hayes clutched the armrests of her wheelchair as a sharp contraction ripped through her body. Her breath hitched, a cry escaping despite her determination to be strong. "You're doing great, Ms. Hayes," the nurse soothed, wheeling her down the corridor toward the maternity ward. Almost there, Clara told herself. 9 long months had brought her to this moment. Doctor appointments attended alone, cravings soothed with late-night grocery runs, bills stacked high on the counter of her tiny apartment. Every day had been a battle, but one she chose to fight for the sake of her unborn child. There would be no one pacing the waiting room, no hand to hold through the pain. She had accepted that, or at least, she thought she had. She lowered her gaze to her swollen belly, whispering a promise through clenched teeth. "It's you and me, little one. Always." But as another contraction came, memories crashed against her walls. Noah Grant. She squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the name as though it could break her again. Billionaire, entrepreneur, larger than life. Once upon a time, he had made her feel like the only woman in the universe. Until she discovered his carefully hidden engagement, the betrayal so sharp it had gutted her. She hadn't waited for excuses, she had walked away and never looked back. Until now, the nurse settled her into a hospital bed, adjusting monitors and checking vitals. "The doctor will be right in, Ms. Hayes." Clara nodded weakly, bracing herself. She had no family close by, no partner to lean on. It was her and the baby. That was all. The door swung open, footsteps. She turned her head, expecting a stranger. Her pulse stuttered. Noah. He stood framed in the doorway, dressed in a physician's white coat, a stethoscope around his neck. His gray eyes widened as they met hers. For a moment, both of them froze, as though the storm outside had broken into the room. "Noah," her voice cracked on his name. He blinked, disbelief flickering across his face. "Clara," her mouth went dry. "You're the doctor." "I'm covering for a colleague tonight," he said, his composure slipping. His gaze dropped to her belly, then back to her eyes. "I didn't know." Another contraction slammed into her. Clara cried out, clutching the sheets. Instantly, Noah moved closer, his voice calm, steady, commanding. "Breathe, Clara, in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it, you're safe." She hated that his voice still had the power to ground her, to slice through the pain like a lifeline. "No," she gasped, shaking her head. "Not you. Anyone but you." The nurse squeezed her arm gently. "Ms. Hayes, drive. Grant is one of the best. Right now, the priority is the baby. Her baby, her miracle." Clara swallowed hard, tears burning her eyes. She didn't want Noah in this room, in this moment that belonged to her and her child. But she had no choice. When she opened her eyes again, Noah's gaze held hers. There was shock there, yes, but also something else. Something that made her chest ache. And so, with her body breaking under the strain of labor, Clara realized fate had dealt her the cruelest twist. Her billionaire ex was the doctor about to deliver her baby. Part 2. The unbelievable choice. Time unraveled in gasps, cries, and the steady beep of machines. Clara's body was a battlefield, and Noah was the commander she never wanted but couldn't escape. Push, Clara, you're stronger than you think, he urged, his voice low, firm. She hated how much she leaned on that voice. How, in the chaos of contractions, it anchored her the way it once had in the quiet moments of their love. Between pushes, she rasped, "You shouldn't be here." His eyes burned into hers. "I should have never let you go." The words hit her harder than the pain, but there was no time to dwell. With a final, desperate push, the room erupted with the newborn cry of life. Clara's sobs shook her as the nurse laid her baby girl against her chest. Warmth, soft skin, a tiny hand curling instinctively against her. "Hello, my love," she whispered, kissing her daughter's damp forehead. "She's perfect," Noah said hoarsely. Clara looked down at the baby through blurred tears. "She's mine." But Noah crouched beside her, his expression raw, stripped of the arrogance she remembered. "Ours," he whispered. Her head snapped up. "What?" His throat worked. "Clara, I knew. About you. About her. I didn't come after you because I thought I didn't deserve either of you. But tonight, seeing you here, holding her, I can't stay away anymore." Anger flared through her. Exhaustion. "You're a billionaire, Noah. You live in a world I can't touch. I won't let you waltz in and out of her life when it suits you." She needs stability, not broken promises. Instead of answering, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. His hand trembled as he placed it on the tray beside her. Clara frowned, reading the letterhead. Her eyes widened. It was a resignation letter, signed and dated that morning. Her voice shook. "What is this?" "I sold the company last month," he admitted quietly. "I've been volunteering here ever since. I wanted to do something real. Something that mattered. Money, status, it was all meaningless without you. Without her. The unbelievable thing isn't that I'm your doctor tonight, Clara. It's that I finally understand what love costs, and I'm willing to give everything for it." Clara's breath caught. The man before her wasn't the untouchable billionaire she remembered. He was stripped bare, vulnerable, offering not wealth or power, but himself. Her heart wavered, torn between the pain of betrayal and the fragile hope blooming in her chest. She looked down at her baby, whose tiny sighs filled the room, then back at Noah, who had once broken her, and who now seemed desperate to mend them both. Her lips trembled. "Don't you dare leave again." His hand closed over hers, firm and certain. Never. In that sterile hospital room, where pain had turned into the miracle of life, Clara realized that sometimes love's most unbelievable act wasn't grand gestures or riches. It was the willingness to change, to stay, to begin again. And for the first time in years, she let herself believe.